All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Angelica Lozada. I am the um, work study student at the Multi-Faith Center, specifically the co-interfaith student lead. And I am also a second year master's student in East Asian studies at the UofT.
Hi everyone, my name is Sammy and I'm in my fourth year in the Visual Studies program and minoring in Creative Expression and Society. And I am the Community Outreach and Media Coordinator as a work study student at the Multi-Faith Center. And we are going to be answering some of the 5 most commonly asked questions about the Multi-Faith Center.
Yeah. So number one, um, what surprised you about the MSC? And I will direct this question to Sammy.
Sure. So what surprised me is honestly how eager and enthusiastic other students are about learning about and celebrating different cultures and faiths. And when I went to my first interfaith meal event, I was honestly so impressed by the amount of students that took the time out of their busy schedules to come together and partake in a meal to gain insights on a tradition, perhaps different than their own, and just be so open to mingling with other students and just meeting people of all different backgrounds. I thought that was really honestly beautiful to see. And it's nice to see students taking the opportunity and taking advantage of the fact that we are at such a diverse campus and to not just learn about religion through a textbook, but to meet students face to face of all different faiths and celebrate each other through actually meeting each other, which was really nice to see. What about you, Angelica?
Yeah, well, for me, it was, well, judging from the name itself, I think a lot of students, and myself included, think that the multi-faith center caters solely towards, religious or spiritual students. And it was really when I got involved with the multi-faith center and saw sort of the medley of events and programs that are offered, where I came to realize that the center is inclusive to all who are sort of looking for a community to become a part of. For instance, a previous I attended provided a space to investigate into intersections of faith and spirituality with such different matters like queer identities, workplace environments, and even sports. I remember was a really interesting event to look into. But I think that this medley of intersections really allows and ensures that students and faculty can find at least one event that really piques their interest, even if they don't consider themselves to be religious or spiritual. And sort of to reiterate what you said, Sammy, even for those who are interested in becoming more knowledgeable about faith and spirituality, I find that the events and programs offered go really beyond these like textbook definitions and facts and provide a very personalized and human-centered understanding that is a lot more easily digestible for those who are really encountering them for the first time.
Definitely. And what are some places that you connect with at the Multi-Faith Center?
Yeah, well, one place that comes to mind where I've had the most community building experiences is really the main activity hall that we have located on the second floor of the Multi-Faith Center. As one of the recurring co-facilitators of the Interfaith Leadership Certificate Program, I find that this space has really served as a setting where I've been able to watch numerous students become more mindful of religious and faith-based differences, gaining more valuable insight about themselves and those around them. And in addition to that, another space that comes to mind is the student lounge that is located on the third floor. Really, that's where you will find most of the MSC staff. But for me, it's another space which I call my home away from home. With this being my third year as a work study student, I find that every single year I'm always delighted to be able to walk into the lounge and interact with my fellow work study cohort, my supervisors, and really the general community members who I've met through the various programs and events hosted by the center. And I would just like to say it's only a bonus that the lounge has been recently renovated with students' well-being in mind. If you are truly looking for a comfortable space to unwind, there are such really comfy chairs and lounge like lighting, ambient lighting that they set up for this year. So I would say take advantage of that. What about
Yeah,
you, Sammy?
I completely agree. I really love the student lounge. It just has this very warm and welcoming atmosphere to it. And it's drop-in. So pretty much before I even knew what the Multi-Faith Center is, I kind of just was looking for a spot to just like hang out and leave my stuff for a second, sit down. And I kind of just stumbled upon it because you can drop in. So a lot of students might not know, but the Multi-Faith Center, it's open 9 to 5, Mondays to Friday. And there's always lots of staff and students kind of popping in, and some working there. So it's drop in, you can come. It's a good place to kind of use as like a little hub to hang out. And you'll meet some interesting people there for sure. So it's a really good spot, especially to see familiar faces. I noticed that every time I go in there, I see someone that I've seen there before. So it kind of makes this large campus feel a little bit smaller when oh, if I go to the Multi-Faith Center, I might see someone that I've seen there before. And that's a good way to make friends and meet new people. So that's definitely a great space to check out. And as well, on the second floor of the Multi-Faith Center building, we have a living wall, which is this amazing wall that takes up like the full, like top to bottom of the wall of this like green wall covered in plants. And it's just very tranquil, very calming. And you can use that space for meditation, for prayer, or, if you just need a breather in the middle of the day, go into that room and it's just, you can just relax there. So that's a space to definitely check out.
No, I 100% agree with the living wall. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know UofT had something like this. And it was just like, wow, this is kind of like a rainforest. It's just so nice to see that, like the water dripping and everything. But yeah,
Exactly.
to move on to the third frequently asked question, uh, what's your favorite multi-faith center event or tradition, and what keeps bringing you back to it?
I really love the Interfaith Meals program. That's definitely a reoccurring event that I just feel like it really captures the essence of what the Multi-Faith Center is all about. It's pretty much these meals where they're for a different holiday. So pretty much every month there's a different holiday. We have Shabbat coming up, Diwali, Pongal. So it's a really good way to go to a tradition that you've never been to before, or if you have, to meet people who maybe haven't experienced that culture or that kind of meal before. I tried a lot of different foods last year that I'd never had before. So it's a really good way to not only learn through the food and through the culture that way, but also meet other people who are just open to learning. And we do a lot of icebreaker questions at these interfaith meals. So it's a great way to just break the ice, learn about something, and eat. So I really love that. As well as Wellness Wednesdays is another that happens every week, which is a great way to unwind, hang out, do something for your well-being during the week. So I'd say those two for sure. What about you, Angelica?
Yeah, well, for me, my journey with the Multi-Faith Center actually began when I joined the Interfaith Leadership Certificate program back when I was in like undergraduate studies. And now that I'm one of the co-facilitators of the program, I feel like I've just come full circle in terms of, being at the Multi-Faith Center and my own growth. And so I would say that program holds a really special place in my heart, something that has allowed me to stay connected with the MFC in a way, discover, what faith and spirituality really means to me. And so having been a part of it for a number of years now, I'm always excited by sort of the different developments that are made to the program each year. And sort of one thing that is new this year is actually sort of what you're talking about, Sam. We incorporated the interfaith meals into the program itself. And so it is now this experiential component that's grounded in having all the participants of the certificate program really collaborate in organizing and facilitating their own interfaith meal dinner. So not only does the dinner provide arguably, and I know you'd agree with me, the best catering on campus,
Yep.
but the communal bond that really the communal bond that a lot of the participants are able to have is really strengthened by this act of allowing them to work together and to take what they've learned from the program and implement it into this tangible event that showcases both like their leadership skills as well as their interfaith growth. So yeah.
Definitely. So next we have, what is one thing you have learned from being a part of the Multi-Faith Center community?
I have learned quite a lot, but if there is one thing I will say that I've learned from the Multi-Faith Center, that the UofT community in general is incredibly diverse. Like whenever I look at the calendar for the MFC, which is now on Folio, I am surprised to see that it's always sort of filled with these different events that cater to so many different communities. And I always, well, not always, but oftentimes I do find myself having to like ask, my supervisors and be like, hey, what's going on? Like, who is this event for? And it kind of brings me a lot of joy to know that, you know, there everyone on campus is provided with a space to explore their intersecting identities, as well as the general fact that the MSC takes into account everyone's sort of needs when planning out what events and programs to host. Like for instance, last year, I remember I attended this one event hosted by the MSC that looked into the intersections of different faith groups with occupations in STEM. And not only did I learn a lot from the panel, but I really came to realize that faith and spirituality can really seep into one's life in many different ways. And it's therefore really beneficial to hold these spaces where individuals can like grapple with their concerns of such an intersection with one another.
Definitely.
What about you, Sammy?
I agree. I feel like that interconnectedness is just like really interesting to sort of see when you see all the events that come together, especially I noticed a lot of the connection between spirituality and well-being, because that's sort of something I didn't really see how the two came together. But then the Multi-Faith Center is also the space where there's so many programs for like self-reflection or like wellness, for emotional well-being, physical well-being, and how all that kind of plays in part with your spirituality. So I feel like seeing how they all come together is really interesting, and it kind of looks at the whole person in a way.
No, I completely agree. If there's one key word, I would say it's intersection.
Exactly.
But so I guess, oh, we're already on our last question. But question number 5, what makes the MSC a welcoming environment?
I definitely would have to say the people. The people at the Multi-Faith Center really make it everything that it is. If you go and visit it or go to any of the events, you'll see it's a very like warm, welcoming group of people that are just passionate. And the very core ideas is just about bringing people together and finding things that we have in common or celebrating our differences. And so the people behind that are just very passionate about these ideas, which makes it just such a special and unique space just in general. The fact that anyone can come in, doesn't matter what your beliefs are, it doesn't matter what your background is. Everyone there who's going to the Multi-Faith Center has that in mind. You're going to the Multi-Faith Center, it's not the same as going to hang out at a library or in your classroom. There's great intention with the Multi-Faith Center that you're going to this space and you know everyone around you is also open to meeting people with these diverse faiths, diverse beliefs, and knowing that we can learn from each other and have those conversations and learn to have mutual appreciation for each other, no matter what your differences are. So I think that's what makes it really special, and that's what makes it such a welcoming space that whenever someone goes to it, they really, they want to come back because of that feeling that it brings.
No, I 100% agree with that. For me, I put down, or well, I think about how what makes the Multi-Faith Center such a welcoming space is really the staff, and I'm going to name drop here because they deserve to be name dropped. But
Yes.
Clara, Chris, Ursh, and Lauren, they're not only amazing supervisors to their work study students from like even previous years, and I know for a fact they will be as well for the incoming student work studies. But they're just also very compassionate and kind-hearted individuals who never fail to bring a smile to the faces of those who enter into the lounge or to the main activity hall, whether it's like their first time or maybe their 50th time. There are just so many instances where, I'll be sitting in the lounge and then somebody will come in and they'll be like, hey, I'm actually a graduate student, but I came back just to say hi to like Clara or to say hi to Lauren, to Ursh, or to like Chris. And I'm like, wow, the impact that they've had on so many people's lives is just really amazing to see. And I think the fact that this is my 3rd time returning as a work studies student gives grounds to that idea that I come, for them as well. And additionally, like I might sound like a broken record here, but I cannot emphasize just how much of a value inclusivity is at the MFC. From the various programs and events down to the physical actual space of the center that takes consideration for accessibility needs and respect for religious differences. Really, the MSC opens its arms to all who are looking for sort of the space of belonging. And as a commuter student myself, I have provided feedback on numerous occasions about just how difficult it is to find a sense of community on campus when you're like traversing the chaotic TTC, when you're shuffling through like large classes, trying to find just a place to sit, or when you're running between buildings on campus. But it's MSc for me where I can really slow things down and actually be given this like opportunity to build bonds with others, while also discovering who I am and what I value.
For sure. So I think that wraps
Yeah.
up all our 5 main questions. And if people are interested in checking out Multi-Faith Center events tomorrow, it's actually not too late if you want to go on a detour trip at the Multi-Faith Center bus tour of worship sites. So that's tomorrow, September 27th from 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. So it's a full day, but it would be a great way to kind of start your journey at the Multi-Faith Center. Or if you're already have joined us on events before, go they're checking out a synagogue, a cathedral, a mosque. So it's a great way to learn about faith as a group together and find that community here.